Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm Rantoinette. Thanks so much for joining me. We've got a lot of stories to get to today. I'm going to try to do a little news roundup. And of course, I say it's little, but it's never little with me. My videos are way too long. I understand that, but that is the only way that I know how to do this. I run my mouth. And I'd like to preface this by saying that I have a regular job that pays the bills or tries to pay the bills. And I do this as kind of like a side gig. I'm not making any money off of it. And I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying that when I have the opportunity to do a show, I get on it as hard and as quickly as I can. I know that sounded really dirty, but I'm trying to get as much information out to you as humanly possible. And I am just collecting story after story all throughout the week. And here we are on a Sunday, and I'm just trying to get as much stuff out as humanly possible for the Monday show. So anyway, having said that, I really appreciate you sticking around and watching. And if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, I'd really appreciate that. It helps me out considerably, and it doesn't cost you anything. And if you got any comments or what have you, please throw those in the comment section. I appreciate all kinds of feedback, whether they be constructive criticism or critiques, or if you like what you see, let me know that. And if you don't like me, let me know that too. I'll take it. Trust me, I can take it. Real thick skin over here. Anyway, so let's get started. I do have to start off with some tragic news. There was a school shooting at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. I believe it was either last night or today. And there were 2 people who were killed and 9 people injured. I saw an interview with somebody who is going to that college, and she is from the Parkland area in Florida, the Parkland shooting. And she says that she was having flashbacks about what happened to her when she was in high school. So, Jesus, it's so bad. It's so bad. We could talk about guns all day long. I think that we should treat those just the same way as we give people licenses for cars. You should have to pass tests, and you should have to have background checks. Absolutely. But, I'm not going to get any further in that. I'm just saying that another day goes by that ends in Y, and we have another school shooting or another tragic mass shooting. We got to do something about it, folks. Sadly, I have more tragic news. There was a mass shooting at Bondi Beach in Australia at a Hanukkah celebration. There are 15 people dead, including elderly and a child. This is the worst mass shooting that they've had in the country for 30 years. And the reason for that is because Australia has much stricter gun laws than we have here in America. Of course, the right wing will probably go, see, they managed to get a gun anyway, so we shouldn't have any laws. Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense. It's been 30 years since they had a shooting like this, so I would say it had a really great effect. And here's a little extra factoid that I have for my conservative brethren out there. A fruit stand owner named Ahmed ran in and tackled one of the gunmen to the ground and wrestled the gun out of his hand. Straight up hero, saved countless people from death and injury. And it turns out that the guy was a Syrian refugee. Australia was wise enough, good enough, smart enough to allow this man to come into their country, and he is shown his worth more than any Republican politician I've ever seen, including fucking Donald Trump and Netanyahu. And the reason why I bring up fucking Netanyahu is because he decided to chime in on this, and goddamn, I just want to smack that son of a bitch right in the mouth. He does like a little press conference where he says, I called the Australian Prime Minister and I told him that acknowledging that Palestinians should have a state and that Palestinians should have rights was to the detriment of his country. And that's why this mass shooting happened. If anybody has contributed to the anti-Semitism that is growing not just in our country, but across the planet. It is Bibi Netanyahu. The shit that he is doing, the genocide, the mass starvation, the ethnic cleansing that he is doing in Gaza has accelerated the anger towards the Israelis and thereby, by proxy, Jewish people all over the planet, blaming it on somebody else. I mean, you know what? It don't cost jack shit to keep quiet. Doesn't cost you a thing to shut your fucking mouth. That would be my advice to him, but I'm sure he's not listening to that. God, what a horrible, horrible creature. I hate doing this story. I really do. This is so sad. Rob Reiner and his wife were stabbed to death over the weekend. When Harry Met Sally, Spinal Tap, A Few Good Men. For God's sakes, man, The Princess Bride. I get chills just thinking about it. The amount of art and culture that he has contributed is immeasurable. His son, Nick, who was suffering from substance abuse, is the alleged attacker. And apparently he slit his dad's throat. I'm shaken. The bodies were found by his daughter, which makes it even worse. And when I think about, I'm just putting myself in his shoes. One of the parents had to watch the other one get killed. Rob Reiner and his wife's bodies were found by his daughter. It's a real tragedy. It's a real shame. And to add insult to injury, the president decided he needed to chime in and make it about himself. I don't even want to do this. I don't even want to fucking read this. And I'm not going to do it in the Trump voice because this is not fucking funny. But this is what he had to say. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle. He is insulting the man who just got his throat slit. And this is the preamble to the extra insult to injury that comes next. He has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome. If anybody is the progenitor of Trump derangement syndrome, it is you fucking cocksucker. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of Donald Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. Not only is he fucking glad-handing himself, just jerking himself off under the table, but he is insinuating that the reason why he died is because he was suffering from Trump derangement syndrome and he drove his son crazy. Go fuck yourself, you fucking piece of dog shit. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before, may Rob and Michelle rest in peace. My God, when he is gone, there will be a huge celebration, without a doubt. But I say to you, MAGA folk out there, you are not going to have to be in this cult anymore. You're not going to have to defend this kind of shit. And I'll tell you what, I have seen a lot of conservative people out there who did not like that tweet in particular. I mean, the guy did Princess Bride. He is universally loved. Even with conservative people that I know, they love that movie. My father and my sister fucking love Spinal Tap. He has done more for our culture, just as a writer and director, than Donald Trump ever will. He has drug us down into fucking degradation. And so many people out there who still support him, they still have to make excuses for shit like this. But I tell you, what's really crazy is that between all the tariffing and the warmongering and cutting people's health care and the fucking Epstein files, more people are mad about that tweet than I have ever seen. So, I mean, the guy is fucking washed. He's cooked. He's done. My God, man, what a wretched guy. And just making it about you. Just go fuck yourself. Okay, the big thing that happened this week internationally is, I guess, America and Trump and Pete Hegseth, we're pirates now. We're just stealing shit on the open high seas. Great stuff. We seized an oil tanker from Venezuela, and I'm seeing a lot of people on the right making excuses for it. It is absolutely illegal. It is just as illegal as killing all of those fishermen in the boats that are going, oh, they're in speedboats. They're going so fast. And, they're bringing in drugs, and every one of those boats has 25,000 deaths on it. Give me a fucking break. Just kiss my entire ass. This war is about oil, and you fucking know it. And here's the crazy thing. Maduro had already offered Donald Trump full access to the oil. It's like, hey, come and get it. I will sell you some fucking oil on the cheap. Stop putting sanctions on our country and just buy our oil. But Donald Trump doesn't want that. Donald Trump's first term, he had that guy Juan Guaido that we named as the real leader of Venezuela, even though he wasn't, and he didn't even remotely get close to what Maduro got in his election. Say what you want about Maduro, whether or not he is a dictator or a leader of his own country. Us doing this is breaking international law. Us doing this is completely illegal. And Pete Hegseth, the head of the Department of War Crimes, is all over this shit. I mean, hell, man, they're putting the footage on television. Look what we did. We just brought in a Black Hawk helicopter and we dropped down a whole bunch of military guys to come and seize the fucking oil. I made a joke about this last week that when Donald Trump was screaming and yelling about Somalis being criminals, I was saying, I think I said something about it on one of my shows, that the only experience he has with Somali people is what he saw in that movie Captain Phillips when they took the boat. And now I guess Donald Trump is channeling his inner pirate doing exactly that. Just stealing people's oil. And I've heard people on the right say that, well, these countries, they have sanctions on them. Yeah, sanctions by America, by us. And the reason why they can't sell their oil in a lot of other places is because we put sanctions on them. So those countries who are our allies or nominally our allies won't buy their oil from them. So they are only able to sell oil to certain places that don't have some kind of agreement with us. It is us that has put the sanctions on them. And now we are stealing their resources on international waters. This is completely illegal and it's complete insanity. But yet Donald Trump is out there talking about it's the biggest oil tanker that we've ever seized. Donald Trump, it is the only oil tanker we've ever seized. We've never done pirating before. Arg, matey, I'm a pirate now, baby. Fuck that guy, man. Seriously. On a related topic, some people from the Trump administration have reached out to the ICC saying that they need to make promises to not go after Donald Trump's criminality. You're basically just giving the game away. I know we're breaking the law. You know we're breaking the law. But if you come after us, we're going to put sanctions on you. So if you want to avoid those sanctions, then you've got to promise us right now that you're not going to come after Trump or anybody in the Trump administration. Jesus Christ, man. Tell me you're a war criminal without telling me you're a fucking war criminal. Okay, we got a big deal going on with the sale of Warner Brothers Discovery. The fact that I say Warner Brothers and Discovery in the same name should tell you everything. It's already a problem. We have huge media conglomerates that are essentially just monopolies. And now we are condensing it down even further with the sale of Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers is a profitable, successful company. They put out a lot of stuff that makes money. There is really no reason for them to do this sale except for shareholders want a return on investment. And that ROI is more important than anything else. So now the bidders are Netflix and the Ellison boys, David and Larry Ellison, who already bought CBS, Paramount, 60 Minutes. And by the way, after having Marjorie Taylor Greene on last week on 60 Minutes, Donald Trump is pissed off at Barry Weiss and at the Ellisons because they're worse than they ever were. They let Marjorie Taylor Brown on to 60 Minutes. It's a horrible program. We've got to do something about it. Whatever, dog. Seriously. What the fuck ever. But the Ellisons and Netflix are in a bidding war. It seems like that Netflix is going to come out on top of this, and none of this really bodes well for the movie theater industry, because people like Ted Sarandos, who is the head of Netflix, he wants to buy up Warner Brothers. And look, we used to actually do antitrust law. Way back in the day, movie companies that made movies also owned movie theaters, and they had an outsized amount of power over what the industry was able to do. So we, back in the day, we broke them up, saying that you could only own certain things. You can't be a studio head and also own movie theaters. That is a conflict of interest. And you could work the system to screw over a whole bunch of people and make a shitload of money. That was the idea of antitrust. And now that wasn't the only thing that we used antitrust on to break up monopolies. But here we are back in the new Gilded Age, and the idea of breaking up companies and doing antitrust law is the furthest thing from the menu these days. Netflix looks like they're in the lead for this, and this negotiation is going to go over for the next year or so. But who is going to give Donald Trump the biggest bribe? Ultimately, that's what this is about. I don't know about that Netflix deal. Depends on how much green gets on my hand. And I'm not talking about the Marjorie Taylor kind of green. I'm talking about the kind that goes into my bank account, baby. You know how much I love that green. Now, here's the thing. Donald Trump hates CNN with a burning passion. He hates pretty much every media company that doesn't kiss his ass. But he particularly does not like CNN and quite a few of the hosts on there. So ultimately what he is trying to do is get Warner Brothers sold so that the new owners can do some firings for him. Of course, he's going to get some money on the back end, because this is just the mafioso presidency. This is the Cosa Nostra presidency. So he is going to get his cut. But at the same time, he is also trying to get some people from CNN fired. And he knows that the Ellison boys will do it. So that's kind of why he would want to lean more towards those guys. But ultimately, Netflix offered more money, but they weren't buying the entirety of Warner Brothers. Like I said, this is going to be negotiated over the next year, and it just depends on who gives Donald Trump the biggest quo, you know, the quid pro quo of it all. He's going to make sure that he gets his goddamn quo before he gives you the pro. You know what I'm saying? Moving on. Speaking of mega media companies, David Sachs at Disney, he is starting to license characters to Sora. Sora being the bullshit AI slop that they're putting out, where Tupac Shakur is having a rap battle with MLK, and nobody wants this. Nobody's asking for this. But Sora is doing their thing, and it's gotten to the point where it's so good, it's not just fooling boomers, it's fooling everybody. And this is some dangerous stuff. I'll talk about that in a minute, but Disney is starting to license their characters with Sora. So how long is it going to be before Cinderella is in a fucking animated porno flick? How long before Mickey Mouse and Goofy are running the train on fucking Minnie Mouse? You don't think that's going to happen? Of course it's going to fucking happen. We live in America, and everybody in America's brain is just soaked in fucking brine, and all they really give a shit about is making money and getting nuts. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this happened earlier last week. I just hadn't had a chance to get to the story. Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary and former Real World guy, he and RFK Jr. went to the airport to do a little advertisement for, hey, we're going to make the airports great again. We've got $1 billion, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to put it into the airports in the form of places for kids to play, basically just creating infectious viral plague locations. Can you imagine? Here, all of these kids need to get together and play with each other, hack and cough and wipe their boogers on each other, and then we're all going to get in planes and go into different locations all over the country. Tell me you don't want to spread another fucking pandemic. Anyway, one of the other things they want to do is to have workout areas. Now, if you guys don't remember, it wasn't that long ago that Sean Duffy went out there and said that people need to be dressing better for the airport. Now, personally, I agree that, look, wear whatever the fuck you want to the airport. The way we have security set up these days and the long lines and the waits for your plane to board, wearing comfortable clothes is completely understandable. But I always thought that you should dress up for occasions. You know, you dress up for travel. That way, when you arrive, you look good. Also, when you go to dinner with somebody, you don't wear jeans and a t-shirt. You put on something nice. If you're going to go out in public and socialize, you should dress up nice. But that's just my personal opinion. The reason why I bring this up is that now Duffy is talking about having workout areas at the airports. So you want us all wearing suits and dresses and looking nice, but you also want us to sweat and then get on a plane all sweaty next to somebody else who has to deal with your aroma? It makes no sense. If you have $1 billion to throw into this, I got an idea. Just a crazy thought. Hire more air traffic controllers. That way, planes will arrive and depart much more efficiently. That way, people won't have to sit around twiddling their thumbs waiting at the airport for their flight to arrive or to leave. And then there would be no need, no necessity for a workout place, for a place for all your kids to play. You could show up on time and then you could get in your fucking plane and go to your destination. I know, crazy thought, but if you got money to spend for the airport airline system, then maybe spend it making it more efficient. I mean, just a fucking thought. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so moving on. None of these are in discernible order. I apologize for that. Just going off of, my notes and what I've been writing down. Indiana has been under pressure from Donald Trump to gerrymander their state. Donald Trump went hard on Texas. Actually, I don't think he went hard at all. I think he went to Governor Hot Wheels and he said, dude, do this shit so I can get more seats in the House. And Texas was like, no problem, daddy. I'm working it out. Now, there has been a little bit of backfire to this because in the elections that just happened back in November, it is a huge swing towards the Democrats, and all of those votes that they were counting on from the 2024 election from Hispanic voters have all reversed. They've seen what ICE and Customs and Border Patrol are doing. They see what Donald Trump is doing. They see what Stephen Miller is doing, and they do not like it. So all of those votes are out the window. And those votes that they were counting on in Texas to help them get those 5 extra seats by gerrymandering in the middle of the decade, they might not work out so well. Because when you gerrymander those extra 5 seats, you're going to be watering down a lot of more safe Republican seats. And when you can't count on the Hispanic vote, and those margins are that much closer, and the Democrats are on the blue wave tip coming up, it might not work as well as the governor of Texas and Donald Trump thinks it will in this next upcoming election in 2026. So Indiana was like, you know what? We're not going to go down this path. Donald Trump has been threatening them, screaming and yelling at all the Republicans in the state house of Indiana, and they basically all told him to go fuck himself. It wasn't a unanimous vote, but it was like, I believe the number was 31 against gerrymandering and 19 for gerrymandering. So it was a double-digit win for not gerrymandering the state. And I like this because I'm starting to see weak, spineless Republicans finally find their spine and go, you know what? We're not going to do this. I don't care who the president is. I don't care what he threatens me with. So I'm not giving Indiana praise for this. It is the least that they could fucking do. Donald Trump tells you to cheat and you go, you know what? We're not going to cheat this time. Well, you know what? Congratulations. Way to step over that very low bar, but hey, at least they did it. Okay. I made a joke last week about all of the shit that's going on in the Caribbean Ocean and how we are just bombing left and right of all these fishing boats. We've got 15,000 troops down there. We have over a dozen war vessels off the coast of Venezuela. And I was making a joke about it, saying that why do they think that they have a right to do this? Well, I guess it's because South America, it's America. It's in the fucking name. It's America. So that's why we have a right to do it, because it's our backyard. And besides, when we say America first, we mean all of the Americas first. I mean, it was just in jest. And then a couple of days later, I see fucking Jesse Waters on Fox News literally say that is the reason. Well, I mean, Central and South America have America in it, so that belongs to us. Get the fuck out of here, Jesse. You're stealing my jokes, man. Come on. What are we doing here? Abrego Garcia, who had been arrested and sent to Seacott prison way in the earlier part of the year. And then after several months, he was released and brought back to the country. And then the judge dismissed the charges. And then as soon as he steps out of the courtroom, they rearrest him again. Well, now another judge has ordered his release. And I think that they were trying to send him to Africa or something. I mean, the guy's name is Garcia. He's been in this country for like 15 years, but now we're going to send him to Africa. Anyway, a judge has said that he needs to be released. Of course, the Republican Party is like, oh, they're activists. He's an activist judge. He's a Democratic plant. I'm telling you, these people, they're terrible. Mr. President, you appointed that guy. He's terrible. He's a Republican in name only. A rhino. We got to get rid of him. It's crazy times, man. It's just fucking crazy times. Moving on. So Donald Trump did a rally. It wasn't very well attended. From what I gather, it was like 500 people in a room that could take like 10 times that. He's on his Affordability is a Hoax tour, and we're creating jobs left and right. Meanwhile, the affordability crisis is, out of fucking hand, and Donald Trump is not creating any jobs. The jobs reports that have been coming out have been terrible, and we haven't had a jobs report in a while since he's put his new Bureau and Labor Statistics guy in there, and he hasn't really provided squat for us to be able to look at the data and see what's going on when it comes to employment or unemployment in this country. He goes out there and he gives, wow, man, Donald Trump does not have it anymore, folks. Whatever charm or charisma that he had back in the day, it is gone. Watching him, by the way, first of all, he looked like a leather bag. I don't know what kind of self-tanner he's using on his face these days. I'm sure he has a hard time getting in all the creases and the grooves and the fucking vagina-neck, to kind of even it out. But he did just get his shot. Whatever that shot is that he gets on the second week of every month. He had the big bandage on his hand and he had the makeup all around it. So he did just get his new dose of whatever it is that they're giving him. And he did look like he had more pep in his step at this rally, but it was pretty shameful. Just to go through a couple of things that he said, he screams and yells about Ilhan Omar. She's here illegally. The blacks, I tell you folks, the blacks, they love me. And they know more about scams and scamming than anybody else. Jesus. I'm pretty sure after that little colloquialism, they aren't loving you that much. And besides, even in 2024, he got 13% of the black vote. Yeah, it was up from the last election where he got 11% of the black vote, but it's still 13%, dog. They don't love you that much, really. But the blacks, and the way he says it, the blacks, he puts his foot in that K. They love me, folks. And then he goes on about this. We had to stop calling it the chief of staff because all of the natives, the Indians out there, they didn't like us using the word chief. First of all, they have not stopped using the word chief of staff. And no, the Native American population has never, ever bitched or complained about you using the word chief in chief of staff. Dumbass. He screams and yells about lower prices and bigger paychecks. Look at the banner behind me. Trust me, bro, it's happening. Affordability. It's a total hoax, folks. You know that. Okay, vagina-neck. Calm down. And then he bitched and complained about, why do we always have to have all these brown people from these shithole countries? Why can't we get people from Norway? Just some wonder, please, Norway, send us your best. Honey, Norwegian people don't want to come here. There's no good healthcare here. There's no good education here. They know what America is all about, and they are happy where they are. The reason why people come to this country is because the countries they're coming from are not providing for them economically, or they're dangerous. So they come here for a better life. And you screaming and yelling about the blacks and the browns coming to this country, there's a reason why they do, because they want the American dream. They want to better their lives. You bitching and complaining about people who have better lives than Americans not coming here, there's a reason for that, Don, you dumbass. And my personal favorite of the quotable moments at this rally. I love miners. Don't we? We love the miners. I totally love the miners. Even the guy on who was writing the closed caption for it, because it was going on live, they were spelling it minors as in children. They had to delete it and go, wait a minute, hold on, minors, ER, minors. Because they weren't even sure what Donald Trump was talking about. You know, because of Epstein. ICE has been going pretty hard in Minnesota. And, you know, since Donald Trump has been screaming and yelling about all of the Somali people that live in Minnesota, ICE is and Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol, ICE Patrol, Gestapo Patrol. And I saw a video of them going after an American whose parents are Somali, and they slammed him up against this gate. I think the gate was either going into a basement, or because it was caught on camera, or going down into a subway or something. I'm not 100% sure where the footage was, but they beat the hell out of him. He told him that he was American. They didn't give a shit. He tried to show him his ID that he had saved on his phone. They didn't care about that. And then they told him to walk his ass home. And they took him miles away from his home. He was like on lunch break outside. He was at his job. He was on lunch break and on his way back to work. And then they snatched him off the street. They beat the hell out of him. They did the cop thing where they put the knee in the back of the neck. And then they took him to a facility where he finally was able to prove that he's American. Even though you listen to his voice and his accent, he's very American. He was obviously born here. And then they told him, all right, good luck. Walk home. In Minnesota, in the wintertime, in the snow. You're basically just going, if you die, if you freeze to death, that's on you, bud. Man, ICE is fucking horrible. ICE is just goddamn terrible. And the Customs and Border Patrol, they're even worse. Speaking of which, Kristi Noem might be going home. There are a lot of rumors floating around. I'm even seeing right-wing pundits on like Newsmax, just a full-on right-wing goon, and he is going after Kristi Noem for doing her, her insider play with getting government contracts and handing them out to friends and family members. That is one way to go against Kristi Noem. I would also say that cosplay Kristi is a vicious bitch that just needs to go because she's fucking horrible. She got questioned at I think it was a Senate hearing or a congressional hearing, and she had absolutely no answers. One of the congressmen, I can't remember the guy's name, but he asked her, how many military veterans have you detained? And she goes, none. We've never done that. And then, boom, somebody stands behind him and pulls out an iPad. And on the iPad, they have on a conference call a gentleman that has been deported who was a veteran from this country, who took some bullets, got a Purple Heart, and we still kicked him out of the country. Or more to the point, Kristi Noem and her goons kicked him out of the country. So she kind of should have known that was coming. If somebody's asking her a question going, hey, how many veterans have you kicked out of this country illegally? You should have known something was coming. But she is a ditzy bitch, and she was not prepared for it. There was also another guy there being questioned by the same congressman. And this guy, I think he works for Homeland Security as well. And the guy's like, so who is the biggest domestic terrorist threat to our country? And immediately, right out of his face hole, he goes, Antifa, which is the dumbest shit ever. And that congressman was like, okay, so where's their headquarters? He's like, we're investigating that. Okay, well, do they have memberships? Are they active? What are they doing? And the guy's like, and he starts smacking his lips because he doesn't know what the fuck to say. He's like, we've got actual real domestic terrorism. Hell, I just did a story a second ago about a shooting at Brown University. We have way too many guns in this country and way too many psychos out there with full access to them. But this guy is Antifa because, Donald Trump, Antifa, they were at the Capitol. Wait a minute, it was the feds, they were at the Capitol. Oh, wait a minute, they were all patriots, and that's why I pardoned them all. Speaking of which, there was a guy who wasn't at January 6th. He was actually at January 5th. He showed up the day early, and he left a couple of pipe bombs, one outside Congress and one outside the Senate. And of course, all of these years that have gone by since January 6th, they have been speculating on whether or not that person that left the pipe bombs was Antifa or a Fed or somebody else. Lo and behold, go figure. Turns out the guy was MAGA. Of course he was MAGA. Of course he was fucking MAGA. Give me a fucking break. Now that it's been a few years past and they've got other topics to speak on, the right-wing media kind of buried that story and moved on. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know the pipe bomb guy, as if you didn't already know, was MAGA. Duh. RFK Jr., old leather bag himself, he gets rid of the hepatitis B vaccine. Look, RFK Jr., he doesn't like vaccines. The dude was an environmental lawyer, and then all of a sudden he is an expert on vaccines. Okay, whatever. You've got these crunchy granola former leftists that are on his side. And then, of course, you've got a lot of lunatic anti-vaxxers out there on the right that are on his side. But the man is a grifter. He's always been a grifter. And he's also really weird because he eats roadkill and he swims in rivers of shit. By the way, I forgot to mention in that airport thing that he did with Sean Duffy, he gives this weird diatribe about there's nothing better in the world than breast milk that comes straight out of an American woman's titty. That is the healthiest thing that God ever gave us. And here he is getting rid of the hepatitis B vaccine for children, which is completely safe. It's never killed anybody. And it has like a 95% effective rate to keep kids from getting hep B. Now, people will be like, okay, well, if you get hepatitis, that's a personal choice because, you did some needles in your arm or you had some illicit sex and it's all on you. No. You can get hepatitis from your mom. It spreads like a virus. It's not something that you get from, needle use or sexual activity. That would be the Hep C vaccine, which is only given to adults, and it's still an experimental thing. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's been years since I got that Hep C vaccine, but I was an adult when I got it, and it was like 10 years ago. The Hep A and Hep B vaccines are very effective, and they are completely safe for children, but yet he gets rid of it. And by the way, in case you were wondering, hepatitis kills your liver. You can get cirrhosis of the liver even if you've never drank before. So I guess he doesn't really give a shit about people's liver sicknesses. Tech bro Sam Altman was on the Jimmy Fallon show, and although I didn't see Jimmy Fallon muse his hair like he did Donald Trump, he basically just gave him a really nice and easy interview where Sam Altman says that I don't know how anybody has been able to raise children without ChatGPT. I raised my kid on ChatGPT. Of course, he has a vested interest in AI and these chat bots because that's where all of his money is dumped into. The guy is just another tech douchebag oligarch, and he, along with all the rest of them, really need to go. We all need to collectively tell these guys to go fuck themselves. Changing topics, we've got Jasmine Crockett is now running for Senate. She's thrown her hat in the ring to run for Senate in Texas. A lot of people on the left are up in arms about it. A lot of people on the right are kind of excited about it because she is going to be in a primary with another Democratic politician who is moderately popular. His name is James Tallarico. Now, look, I can tell you right now that I am not the biggest fan of either of them. I think Jasmine Crockett has got she's good at politicking. She's got a good voice. She's able to speak in a way that a lot of people can understand, very down to earth, not very politician-y. James Tallarico is more, I don't know, he reminds me of Pete Buttigieg, a little bit too polished, if you know what I mean. There are some things about James Tallarico that I like. He says he's not taking AIPAC money anymore, so that's good. But I want people to get away from the whole AIPAC thing and just no lobbyist money from anybody. Small dollar donations. Ultimately, that's where we need to go back to. And personally, I think all of our elections should be federally funded. No more outside money from anybody, including the wealthy oligarch class who have bought our fucking politics. Jasmine Crockett, she's not made a pledge to not take any AIPAC money. And she has in the past taken money from like some crypto bros, which is not really a good thing. And neither one of their rhetoric has been very great on Israel and what's going on in Gaza. But at the same time, they both would be better than the alternative, which is fucking Ken Paxton, who is the lieutenant governor of Texas. And he is possibly one of the most corrupt Republicans in politics in America. I mean, next to Donald Trump, it'd be like Trump and then Ken Paxton. Let's put it this way. Ken Paxton is so corrupt. Even his Republican colleagues in the state legislature tried to oust him for his corruption. It was so blatantly obvious. I think he got a pardon from the governor because of course he did. But that guy is fucking bad news. And either Tallarico or Jasmine Crockett would be vastly better than that guy. Nevertheless, there are a lot of things about Jasmine Crockett that I do like. She definitely gets under Donald Trump's skin. Like I said, she's got a very common touch when she's able to talk to the people. And I saw an interview with her. She says something that, should be like a duh moment, but she's the first person that said this in so long, and I fucking love it. She was giving an interview, and the news person asked, well, what are you going to do to try to sway some moderate Republican votes? And she's like, I don't think we need to do that. Ultimately, my job as a Democrat is to get Democratic voters to come out to the polls. She also mentioned that there was like 61% of Texas's population is people of color, and that she could pull from those resources. One thing that I think that the Democratic Party has sucked at for the last, honestly, at least a couple of decades, maybe more, is that the Democratic Party is looking for this mythical, centrist, moderate Republican that they can sway over to vote for Democrats. But it never fucking works. When a Republican, moderate or not, has a choice between Coke and Diet Coke, they always buy the real fucking thing. They never go for the Diet Coke. They never go for the Diet MAGA. So when Jasmine Crockett says to the news lady, I'm not here to court Republicans. I'm here to inspire and bring out Democratic votes. I love it. I love to hear it. That's the kind of rhetoric we need. As Democratic politicians, your job is to inspire your voters. Do things for your voters, and they will come out to vote for you. Stop trying to placate to this mythical moderate right-winger out there, begging them to come over to your side. When they go to the polling place and they have a choice between you, who's been begging and pleading, please come over and vote for us Democrats. They have a choice of the staunchest of staunch Republicans. They're going to vote for that fucking Republican. Voters respond to strength, not weakness. And Jasmine Crockett is showing some strength, and I really appreciate that. So good on her. I think either one, her or Tallarico, will be better than Ken Paxton. And I think it's an exciting time for Democrats running for office because we have a shot at a huge blue wave. Hopefully, they don't fuck it up. Moving on, Donald Trump has made some adjustments to the free days given to American people going to national parks. And they are going to get rid of free entry into national parks on MLK Day and no more Juneteenth free entry. But he said yes to Flag Day, which happens to be Donald Trump's birthday, because, might as well make Donald Trump Day free for national parks. Could this guy be any more fucking racist? I mean, I heard the news reporter, she was saying the White House is not given a reason why he got rid of those particular days. I'll give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't fucking count. Juneteenth and MLK Day. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously. Just get the fuck out. So farmers are not doing great right now with all the tariffs going on, especially soybean farmers, of which Scott Bessent says that he is a soybean farmer. Get the fuck out of here. Yet again, it's becoming my favorite phrase. Just get the fuck out of here. The blatant lies. But whatever. That's beside the point. I digress. Donald Trump is now promising them $12 billion bailout for these particular farmers, which is really funny because if I'm not mistaken, the bailout that he did in his first term for the farmers was exactly the same number, $12 billion. Of course, he's not factoring in inflation. And of course, he's not factoring in that this tariff thing is way fucking bigger and worse this go around because it's worldwide as opposed to just against China. By the way, in his first term, he did the soybean tariff thing on China. And China's like, okay, fuck it. We'll just start buying it from Brazil, which is where they're getting their soybeans from Brazil. They're not getting them from us anymore. And a lot of American farmers are fucking hurting. Well, the problem is that $12 billion isn't even a third of what they need. Estimates put it at $44 billion is what they have lost this season alone. And here's the thing, folks. The American farmer is the best farmer in the world, bar none. We do farming in this country better than anybody. That is something that we should have a lot of pride about. Our farmers kick ass. They're very good at what they do. Now, of course, there's some downsides to that. We don't have as many family farms as we used to. Most of them are just huge conglomerates. And there's no telling how much of this $12 billion bailout is just going to go to the mega wealthy conglomerate farms, Donald Trump's bros and buddies. I'm sure they're going to get a huge taste out of that $12 billion. But it is nowhere near enough of what they need. And American farmers en masse did vote for Donald Trump. I'm not saying all of them did, but an outsized portion of American farmers did vote for Donald Trump, even after he did his fuckery in the first term, and now it's 3 times as bad this time around. He was giving an interview. I want to say it was on CBS, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember the woman's name. And she asked him how he thought he was doing on the economy, which, by the way, he is at 31% polling on the economy, which is amazing for a Republican to be that low. For some reason, America always thinks that Republicans are better on the economy, even though I've gone through this over and over again. Every time Republicans hold office, the economy crashes. Under Reagan, under George W. Bush, under Donald Trump, and yet again, we're about to go through another major economic crash because of Donald Trump and his idiocy and his tariffs. But the reporter asked him in this interview how he thought he was doing on the economy. And he goes, A plus, 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 plus. Shut the fuck up, man. Just shut the fuck up. You are not doing good. You are fucking up the bag big time. And you fucking know it. Maybe he doesn't know it. Maybe he's just surrounded by a bunch of ass kissers that just constantly tell him how great he is and how big his dick is and how beautiful his hair is. And he just believes it. We saw him at the FIFA thing, getting his award, acting like a giddy little school kid. By the way, Donald Trump, when somebody gives you an award, you're not supposed to yank it out of the box and put it on yourself. They're supposed to do that for you. But, you know, Donald Trump, the first thing he did was just yank it out of the box and go, hee. Fucking idiot, man. Just an idiot. A+, plus. That's how I'm doing, folks. Everybody knows it. Apparently, there is now font supremacy. I know that sounds strange, but the Trump administration has gotten rid of the font Calibri. The reason why Joe Biden switched it from Times Roman numeral to Calibri in all federal documents is that it's easier for people to read. The letters are a little bit thicker and they're a little bit simpler. And for people who have vision impairment, it's easier for them to read. So us just changing a font on government documents to make it easier for people to read its legibility. I know Republicans are going to say that it sounds woke, but helping out people with vision impairment problems, if that's woke, what the fuck isn't woke? That's like saying that the wheelchair ramp outside the grocery store, that's like calling that woke. What isn't woke to you asshats? Seriously. But the Trump administration has switched it back from Calibri back to Times Roman numeral. Okay, man, whatever. But the way that they're acting about it, saying that Calibri is wokeness incarnate and Times Roman numeral, that's the more superior font. So we have font supremacy. Fucking weird, man. Just weird. Time Magazine's Person of the Year has AI creators and Elon and Sam Altman on the cover. They're basically giving the Person of the Year award to the architects of AI. AI is probably the worst thing that I've ever seen. It provides us absolutely no value whatsoever. First of all, it steals all of the data off of the internet. It just basically absorbs everything off the internet. It grinds it up into like this meat pie and it shoves it out to you. They are taking actual art done by artists, musicians, creators, and then they're extracting that information and they're using it for free. Nobody is getting paid for this. They're taking money out of your pocket as an artist or as a creator. Not to mention the fact that it is terrible for the environment. The pollution that these data centers pump out is choking us to death. Memphis, Tennessee, they're pumping out methane into the suburbs of Memphis. And half of Memphis is coming down with like lung diseases and shit because they can't fucking breathe anymore. But somebody in the city council got paid off by Elon Musk because it's his Grok Center is in Memphis, Tennessee. But these things are going up all over the place. They're building them everywhere, and most people don't want them. So it's bad for the environment. It's also a huge waste of water using them to cool these computers. So all of our potable drinking water is being used up for this. We're just giving them our natural resources. Not to mention the fact that it's heavily subsidized by the government, which means our tax dollars are subsidizing that shit. And then you add on top of that, it is taking so many entry-level jobs. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it is so far already 1/3 of all entry-level jobs are now gone because of ChatGPT and Grok and AI, taking people's jobs and livelihoods away from them. You went to college, you got a degree in computer sciences or whatever, and now you're looking to get your first job. Well, that job is gone now. It has been farmed out to AI, and they don't require health insurance. They don't require benefits. They don't require any days off. They're a fucking robot. It's a robot. And the billionaire Broligarchs do not give a flying fuck about human beings. They would much rather have a robot that doesn't complain or bitch and want anything. That's what they want to do. And they've been going on television and bragging about it. I saw Kevin Hassett, Donald Trump's economic advisor, saying that we're going to have a jobs slowdown in the next year, meaning we're going to be hiring less people. But that's a good thing because all the bosses out there are super happy about not having to hire new employees because they already have robots doing the jobs for them. I mean, what do you say to that? What do you say to that? And then we have the extra thing that's on top of this whole AI thing, which is the bubble. Our economy, or at least our Wall Street economy, is basically run off of 7 companies now. You know, NVIDIA and Grok and ChatGPT, and there's like 7 of them. And they're all trading money back and forth, and they're getting money from the government, all in the form of subsidies. And that is basically the only thing that the billionaire class is spending their money on, because they know their return on investment is going to be, I don't need employees anymore. I've got robots to do that. Not to mention the physical robots that people like Jeff Bezos are creating, taking away people's shitty jobs at those warehouses. I'm sorry, fulfillment centers, because it couldn't be any more dystopian. But this AI bubble, from what economists have been saying, it is 4 times the size of the housing bubble that we had in 07 and 08. And when that bubble popped, it was a huge economic crisis. They called it the Great Recession. And this one is 4 times the fucking size of it. Great Depression, anyone? If we do not stop this AI thing in its fucking tracks, best case scenario is that the bubble bursts and we do go into a Great Depression type scenario. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that it succeeds and everybody loses their jobs. And in 10 years, 100,000 people are going to be without work. You think that they're not going to come for you with the pitchforks? You think that's not coming? I don't care how high you build your wall at your compound or how many guards that you hire to guard your little 5'6" ass. They're going to come for you. Just no fucking forethought. I don't understand this. It provides nothing but AI slop. Having this in our world right now, we're in a post-truth society. We don't believe in anything anymore. Adding real believable AI to it. I mean, you heard Donald Trump a few months ago saying, if it's good, I did it. If it's bad, it must be AI. They've already got this as a built-in excuse. So we have AI taking jobs, destroying the environment, using water, stealing art and content from real human beings, building an entire economic bubble that's about to burst, and taking away everybody's jobs in the process. There is not one fucking redeeming quality about it. I could rant about this all day. It is absolutely infuriating. We should all collectively say no to AI. We're done with this shit. Nobody should create this. It's washed. It's cooked. It's over. Fuck AI and fuck these dude bro tech broligarchs. They all need to go. Tax them into oblivion and let's just take all of their fucking billions that they have raked away from us over the last 50 years and let's get Medicare for all. Get money out of politics, end some fucking wars, and provide a very good quality education for all Americans. I know, I'm a radical, aren't I? Speaking of which, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, she has already gotten, I'm just speculating, but she's already gotten bribes from some AI guys because she is trying to get rid of regulations on AI or a more friendly regulatory body in New York State for these AI creators. That is a really bad look for a Democrat. Now, of course, on the other side of the ledger, the Republicans, they are trying to slip in a 10-year moratorium on any regulation for AI. What? We just let these guys run rampant for 10 years nationwide doing whatever the fuck they want to? That's like Dracula coming to your front door and you go, "Hi, what's your name?" "I'm Dracula. I'm here to drink your blood. But the only way I can do that is if you let me inside." "Well, then come on in. I've got plenty of necks for you to suck on." We know it's bad, and yet we're allowing them to run roughshod over everything with absolutely no regulation. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back in July, in the big, beautiful bill, they were trying to slip that provision in, that 10-year no regulation on AI moratorium. Thankfully, it did not happen, and enough people said no to it. But now they're trying to slip it into a must-pass bill that is going to fund our military, which, by the way, over $900 billion. Nah, man, how are you going to pay for healthcare? How are you going to pay for education? How are you going to pay for war? Oh, we fund that shit. We fund the fuck out of it. And they're trying to put that 10-year no regulation on AI moratorium in that must-pass bill. Of course, since the military-industrial complex has got some kind of military base or manufacturing of weapons or some kind of government contract in nearly all districts in our country, all 435 districts has some kind of military business going on with the government. Warfare is just welfare in our country. But since that is so prevalent across our country, pretty much all of them will vote for that spending package. And since that is going to be a pretty obvious passage, that regulatory moratorium on AI, slipping that in there is going to ensure that it passes. And that is no fucking bueno. Our Democrats are fucking this up. They should all be on my side. It should be heavily regulated. Every one of those goddamn Sora videos needs to have a fucking Sora watermark right there at the top. So all of the rubes out there won't think this is a real fucking video. Even though if you get rid of the regulation, then there will be no need for that watermark. Nobody will know what's real and what's fake anymore. We're already dealing with people who don't believe in truth anymore. You want to add this into the mix? We are just hastening our demise exponentially with this. But we have Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries. He's doing this AI commission where he is out there talking to these Broligarchs going, hey, when you get done with Donald Trump, trust me, we're going to be having your back too. So make sure that you've got plenty of donation money for us too. All right. We're going to hook you guys up. Don't you worry your pretty little head. Governor Shapiro, Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, he said in an interview, AI is happening. There's nothing we can do to stop it. But it is a question of national security that we need to do this first and better than China. Even the Democrats are fucking still on this warpath with China, and they're using AI as their conduit. China has already whipped our ass when it comes to this stuff. It was a report it's like 3 or 4 months ago where they did their version of AI. It cost a tenth of what we're spending on it with our taxpayer dollars, and it is better than ours. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and we were talking about the differences between Chinese politicians and American politicians. American politicians are mostly lawyers. Most Chinese political officials are engineers. Say what you want about China, but man, they make shit work. And we suck at it. We just do. And we spend 10 times the amount of money sucking at it. But Governor Shapiro is like, what? You want China to win? This is national security. We've got to win. This is not a competition. This is American tax dollars being funneled into the pockets of the very wealthiest of us that give us slop in return and pollute our waters and pollute our air and take our jobs. Oh, and by the way, one of the people that Hakeem Jeffries wants to appoint to this AI commission, a politician named Josh Gottheimer, who has a $40 million investment into Microsoft. Just take a wild fucking guess which way he's going to go, helping to fund these billionaire oligarch types. Just take a wild guess. In a sillier bit of news, on Friday, the very well-deserving Barry Weiss of a $150 million contract to run CBS, when she has absolutely no business doing it, she had a town hall with Erika Kirk, and it just came off very performative, the whole thing. Barry Weiss seemed kind of performative, like, I'm going to do what all the news people do on TV, and I'm going to ask questions very much like them. She came in to CBS to supplant all of those centrist, moderate news figures, to bring her own version of moderate centrism, but she is literally doing it exactly the same way, except worse, because she doesn't have any charisma. And her performative affect that she was putting into this interview just kind of came off fake. But not to be topped, Erika Kirk, I know she's a widow, but man, she comes off really acty, really performative. Since it was a town hall, they had people in the audience asking Erika Kirk questions. And there was a guy in the audience that asked her about Donald Trump. And since she condemns political violence and violent political rhetoric, he asked her if she would condemn the president, because there is nobody that is more rhetorically, politically violent in this country. I just did a story about what he had to say about Rob Reiner. I mean, it's like, one rotten apple spoils the whole bunch. Well, he has been sitting in the bottom of this bunch, rotting us all from the inside for the last 10 plus years. And he asked Erika Kirk about that. And look, I know she doesn't have any media training, but the way she answered was, thank you. Thank you so much for your question. And yes, I disagree with political violence, but this all starts in the home. So her excuse is, this starts in the home. And never mind all the politically violent rhetoric that is coming out of the most powerful man on the planet. Just ignore that. She is not good at this whatsoever. And here's a little tasty nugget on the end of that. That guy that asked her that question, he happened to be the guy that was asking Charlie Kirk his very last question. You remember the one where they were talking about guns and gun violence? And as he's literally speaking on the topic of gun violence, gets killed with a gun? That guy was the one that asked Erika Kirk that question. And it all starts in the home. Lady, give me a fucking break. Seriously. I mean, when Donald Trump was speaking about the shooting that just happened at Brown University, his first thing out of his fucking face hole was, things can happen. It's really sad. Things can happen. You mean people can get shot with weapons? Is that what you're saying? We're just going to dance around this shit? The beholdence of the right wing to gun culture, it is a death cult. It's just crazy. I mean, when you take a man like that into consideration and you don't think that he has a detrimental, deleterious effect on the rest of us with all of his hate and vitriol, you're not paying attention. You're a fucking trad wife. Why aren't you at home right now taking care of your kids as opposed to taking over your husband's business? Because ultimately, that's what most conservative men would want you to do. Why are you out here trying to run the show? Telling all of these young women in TPUSA that you should be in the home taking care of your husband and your family. But meanwhile, I have a career because I'm taking over this project from my dead husband. Look, I'm not here to give her a hard time about her grieving process. I will say that this town hall appearance looked pretty performative and kind of acty. And I know that might sound shitty to say, but I'm not the only person that's saying that. There are a lot of people out there that can see this with their own two eyes. It all starts in the home. Lady, give me a break. I don't pay attention to Donald Trump. I just pay attention to the home and my business and on all the people that are saying bad things about me right now. There was one little extra clip that I saw that was pretty amazing. Barry Weiss, during the interview portion, asked Erika Kirk about a couple of the quotes that Charlie Kirk is well known for. One of which was, the civil rights movement was wrong and the passing of civil rights was a mistake. And Erika Kirk's answer to that was, well, I think that you need to look at the full context. It doesn't get much fuller than that context. I think the civil rights movement was a mistake and the people that were fighting for civil rights were wrong. That is what he said. How much more fuller context do we need? Let me explain to you what he actually meant. It's like, no, I just heard what he said. I don't need you to explain to me what he said. I heard it with my own two ears. But you need to look at the broader context. Get the fuck out of here. Civil rights was a mistake. Charlie Kirk is going to have a memorial. I wonder what quote they will use to put on his memorial. If I asked a TPUSA supporter or a Charlie Kirk supporter or just a conservative in general, why don't you give me one of his good quotable moments, something that you can hang your hat on. Because none of them would have one, including his own fucking wife. Anyway, moving on. Okay, this one is just insane. Look, tourism is down in America right now. Nobody wants to come here and get snatched up by ICE just because they want to go to Disney or they want to come to New York and go to Times Square. They're not coming here anymore because of the immigration policy and what ICE, DHS, and the CBP are doing. Everybody's scared shitless to come in from out of the country. Well, Donald Trump just added a little bit on top of that. If you are a foreign tourist wanting to come into this country, you need to submit 5 years worth of your social media for scrutiny by whoever. 5 years worth of your social media, 5 years worth of your phone records, 10 years worth of your email records. Do you carry this stuff with you? Do you have it on a spreadsheet? Or are you just promising to give them access to your phone and your computer? As a tourist, just coming in for let's say you're on vacation for 2 weeks in this country. They want biometrics. They want fingerprints. They want iris scans. They want your phone, your emails, your social media. If I was going to a foreign country and they wanted all of that stuff, I'd be like, you know what? I'll just stay here. I'll do a little staycation. Or maybe I'll just pick a different country to go to. Donald Trump has been fucking up so much shit, but man, one of the things he has really fucked up is tourism in America. So many people from countries all over the world used to want to come to visit here. People would want to come here and get educated here. It was the land of opportunity and American dreams. If I wasn't an American, there's no way you could fucking pay me to want to come here. It is absolutely insanity. They want you to submit 5 years worth of your social media? What are you going to have somebody at customs flipping through your phone, going back to 2020? And then what? They examine it and they go, oh, well, you made fun of Donald Trump back in 2020. Sorry, pack your bags, get back on a plane and get out of here. Or better yet, well, you're here now. We're going to put you in a bed, in one of our detention facilities, which is essentially a fucking prison. What, you don't think that that's already happened? People from Canada have come here in this last year and they've been detained. There was one woman from Canada was in prison for a month before they let her go home. Donald Trump killing tourist trade in America. Moving on. This is a silly one. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was not that long ago. I think it was in the earlier part of this year. Donald Trump was offering gold cards as opposed to green cards. Green cards where you have to come to this country and you have to really prove yourself and work the system and pay a lot of expenses just so you can get your goddamn green card so you can legally be here and not have a threat of ICE or customs snatch you off the street, throwing you in jail or kicking you out of the country. Donald Trump was offering a gold card and he was selling it. It was some cheap little piece of plastic with his fucking face on it. Just propaganda to the max. But he was selling it for $5 million a pop. Well, obviously there weren't enough people that took him up on that offer to pay $5 million to who? I don't know. Who's getting this? Is the government getting this? Is Donald Trump getting a taste? Are they just paying Donald Trump directly? You give me $5 million and you can come into this country and you can do whatever you want. I will fucking pull up my dress. I will show you my titties. I'll give you all of the goodies, baby. Donald Trump is such a fucking money whore. He is such a whore. Anyway, he lowered that from 5 million down to 1 million. Apparently he didn't have enough takers. There weren't enough oligarchs outside of the country that wanted to buy one of Donald Trump's bullshit ass gold cards and come here. So he lowered it down to 1 million. So, hey, you're a rich guy. You live in Saudi Arabia. You're an oligarch in Russia. All it will take is $1 million of your cash. You can get into this country and do whatever the fuck you want to. Donald Trump would love to have you. As long as they look like they were from Norway, they can come in here and do whatever they want. Okay, so MTG is about to leave. I think she leaves on January 5th, if I'm not mistaken. She has made it her mission for the last few weeks of her term to take out Speaker Mike Johnson. Now, it's not just her that hates Mike Johnson. A lot of Republicans hate Mike Johnson because they've seen Mike Johnson pretty much abdicate all of his power as Speaker of the House to Donald Trump. He is his little bootlicker, his favorite little lawn gnome with unmovable hair. How many times have we seen reporters go up and go, Speaker Johnson, how do you feel about what Donald Trump said earlier today? We don't want them, the Somalians. We got to get them out of here. They're black and they're Muslim and we don't want them in our country. Tell them to go back to their shithole. And then a reporter will say, Mr. Speaker Johnson, what do you feel about that? Oh, I haven't heard anything about that, and I haven't seen anything about that. I'm just going to run down this hallway and avoid your question altogether. Well, so anyway, so many people in Congress hate Mike Johnson, and MTG is trying to take him out before she gets out of here. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but all she needs is 9 Congress people. And I'm getting flashbacks from, what's that guy's name? Gates, the ex-Florida representative, Matt Gates, who allegedly had sex with a 17-year-old after he shipped her over state lines. Not a great dude. But him and a handful of others went against Kevin McCarthy and got him kicked out. So MTG, all she needs is 9 people. There's a few of them that don't like him at all. I could name off Boebert, Nancy Mace, Elise Stefanik. She doesn't like him either. All she needs is 9. So we'll see what happens. Who knows? It could very well happen. Oh, speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, this is just a friendly reminder that MTG, even though she has gone on this makeover tour to try to appease everybody that she's normal again, she is not. She is still very much a psycho Republican. She might not call herself MAGA anymore, but she calls herself America First and America Only. America Only, goddammit. I'm making hats. And I was talking about the military spending budget bill the mandatory bill that they're trying to pass. And MTG was against it until they allowed her to slip an anti-trans amendment into the bill. And now she's all for it. Just letting you know, she is not one of the good ones, folks. MTG is crazier than a shithouse rat, and we should all be very thankful that she will be gone. I am completely against spending this much money on the military. They've had 7 audits and they've never passed an audit. I am completely against funding it. Oh, you're going to let me put in an anti-trans bill? Okay, I'm all for it again. No fucking principles whatsoever. Just horrible, wretched lady. I don't care how many red dresses and how many blowouts you get. You are still a scumbag, woman. You are nasty ass hoe, and I'm glad that you gots to go. 13 Republicans vote with the Democrats to nullify an anti-labor bill by Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he has been stripping back labor protection for government workers. He's been firing a lot of government workers too, thanks to Elon Musk and Doge. But he's also trying to take away their labor rights. And there were 13 Republicans that stood up and voted with Democrats. So that's good. It's showing me that more and more Republicans are reaching back under their shirt and finding their fucking spines and standing up to the guy. Of course, the ACA thing did not pass. All 8 of those Democratic senators that ended the government shutdown and said, we're going to get that vote in the House and the Senate, and we're going to make sure that those ACA subsidies get funded. Well, guess what? They fucking voted on it. It did not pass. They got a handful. I believe they got 4 senators. I think it went through the Senate first before it got to the House. The House doesn't need to do anything because it did not pass the Senate. Even if it passed the Senate, Mike Johnson would have put the kibosh on that anyway, but they needed 60 votes. They only got 4 Republicans to cross over. Not enough. So the ACA subsidies did not get renewed, and Obamacare recipients, their premiums are going to double and triple. That means that people are just not going to re-sign up. And we're just going to have a whole bunch of people in America without any health insurance, thereby ensuring that people will not go to the doctor because they can't afford it and then wait for that emergency to become life-threatening, and then they will go to the emergency room where they will probably not fare very well and they might very well die because they don't have health insurance. Under Donald Trump's first term, 2 million people lost their health insurance. Under this term, it's going to be 10 times that. 17 million people got cut off of Medicaid. ACA subsidies are going through the roof. They're cutting food stamps. It is going to be tough on the poor and the working class this coming year. And Republicans in the House seem to think that they're not going to have any consequences for their actions. I think they're in for a rude awakening in November 2026. But even if the Democrats win in the 2026 midterms, it's going to be years before we can reverse all these horrible, wretched things. All of the stuff that he's doing right now, stripping away ACA, Medicaid, Medicare, it is going to be 5-10 years minimum before we get this shit back on track. And that's if we do everything right and we don't have people like Chuck Schumer fucking it up or Hakeem Jeffries. Speaking of Chuck Schumer, he was on Jake Tapper the other day, and Jake Tapper asked him about us doing pirating in the Caribbean, just taking oil tankers completely illegally on the high seas. And Jake Tapper asked Chuck Schumer point blank, do you agree with what Donald Trump is doing? And he's kind of breaking the law. Are you going to say anything about it? And Chuck Schumer's like, I don't know. I mean, Donald Trump, he's all over the place. I mean, of course we want Maduro to go. When Donald Trump brought out Juan Guaido back in his first term, me and Nancy, we gave him a big round of applause. We love that guy. So we would love to get rid of Maduro. He's just not doing it in the right way. And he's kind of all over the place. I mean, if he would just settle down and pick a direction on which way he wants to overthrow that government, we would probably throw a support behind him. But as it is right now, Donald Trump is all over. And I don't know what's going on from day to day. So we're not against the overthrow of the government. We're just kind of against the procedure of it. That is the leader of the Democratic Party. God damn, man, that guy's got to go. He is the absolute worst, feckless, spineless piece of dog shit. Chuck, you suck. Oof. Steve Doocy, the Nepo son of former Fox and Friends guy Doocy, Steve Doocy is at the White House, and he asked Donald Trump a question. He says, is this war with Venezuela, is it, by the way, we're not at war. Nobody's declared war, even though they're trying to use the AUMF, the authorization to use the military force that we had for the Middle East. We're trying to use that here. And we've got Marco Rubio saying that Venezuela has got ties to Iran and Hamas. Yeah, man, Hamas dug a tunnel from Gaza to Venezuela. They're really good at making tunnels. These guys conflating Venezuela with some Middle East actors. Just get the fuck out of here. But Steve Doocy asked Donald Trump, is this Venezuela war, is it about the drugs or is it about oil? Which is a very good question. Very surprising coming from somebody from Fox News. And Donald Trump's answer was, it's about a lot of things. Mostly it's about Venezuela sending us all their people from asylums. I swear to God, he does not know the difference for people coming to this country asking for asylum as opposed to coming out of asylums like it's some fucking Batman Arkham Asylum shit. The guy only knows TV references. He has no idea what words mean. But he's like, they keep sending us the refugees and they're all coming out of the prisons, out of their asylums. Donald Trump, if I could speak to you for a moment. And I know you're listening because you're really interested in the Rantoinette program, I'm sure. But what do you think is going to happen when you invade a country for oil? Let's not kid ourselves. It's not about fentanyl. There's no fentanyl coming out of Venezuela. But what do you think is going to happen? Are you going to have less refugees coming out of Venezuela, or are you going to have more? Because the last time we did this war for oil in Iraq, which was based on a lie, we said that they were terrorists and they had weapons of mass destruction. We are literally using that same phraseology right now about Venezuela. The fentanyl is weapons of mass destruction and that it is all terrorism. So we're doing the same fucking playbook that we did in 2003. We killed minimum in Iraq 500,000 people, but there were over 2 to 3 million refugees from Iraq that spread out all over the place, all over the Middle East, and a lot of people in Europe. So when you do an invasion of a country illegally, do you think you're going to have less refugees or more refugees? I'll give you a second to think about that. I mentioned earlier that Trump's polling on the economy is down to 31%. I got this other little tidbit. From young voters ages 18 to 29, Donald Trump's approval is at 19%. I'm surprised it's that high. All of the young people that came out and voted for Donald Trump in 2024, whether they saw them on some broadcast, podcast, what have you, a lot of young people went out and voted for Donald Trump, way more people than normally would have. Some of these people are first-time voters, and they bought into the bullshit because he went on with Theo Vaughn, or he went on with fucking Joe Rogan or whatever. But all of those young people, they're done. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe I voted for this guy. He is horrible. 19%. 19%. And he is not even a year into his presidency. It's only going down, folks. Oh yeah, Donald Trump, he is already threatening Colombia as well. Now look, Colombia, if there's any drug that comes out of Colombia, it's cocaine. Colombia be doing some cocaine. Now, Colombia's new leader is a leftist. He came to the UN this past September, and he did not have some very kind words for Donald Trump. He basically called him a dictator and told him to go fuck himself. I think somebody gathered him up and put him on a plane and shipped him back to Colombia. It's like, you can't come back here anymore. The only political figure that we should stop coming to the UN is Benjamin Netanyahu. But the new president of Colombia, he is definitely on the left. And of course, America's stock and trade is we love overthrowing leftist leaders in our southern hemisphere because, according to Jesse Waters, South America, the name America is in it, so it belongs to us. It's our backyard. It's our sandbox, if you will. It's not. It's a foreign country. They are a sovereign nation. All of these nations are sovereign nations, but of course, that doesn't stop America from doing what they do. We love to overthrow some governments and put in puppet dictators so we can extract wealth, extract minerals, extract resources. That is the American way. We don't create shit. We just overthrow your government and fucking steal it. But Donald Trump, he goes on this long tirade about overthrowing Maduro, and he's got like a $50 million bounty on his head. By the way, that woman that won the Nobel Peace Prize, who immediately turned around and said that I'm going to dedicate my Peace Prize to Donald Trump, Maria Conchita Alonso, or Maria Conchita Mercado, or whatever the fuck her name is, she has been on this publicity tour talking to all kinds of right-wingers saying, just please come and invade our country and I will spread my legs and I will give you full access to all of our oil wealth. Forget Saudi Arabia. They don't have as much oil as we do. We have all the oil. Meanwhile, she's in exile because she has been desperately trying to overthrow her own government, and Maduro fucking hates her ass. So right before we took that tanker illegally, like a pirate, our military went and got her out of the country. I think she's in America right now, just cooling her boots and chilling out, waiting for the carnage to happen. So when we finally invade the country illegally and kick Maduro out, we have a new puppet in Maria Mercado to put in there. I can't believe that this shit is happening again. I can't believe we're doing another war over oil. And by the way, you're going to hear a lot of people on the right wing who are making excuses for it. I'm seeing it on the news all the time, but one of their favorites was, hey, if we get more oil, that means the oil prices are going to go down. I lived through the Iraq war, which by the way is still going. We're still there. We're still there. But I remember the height of the Iraq war. And let me tell you something, baby. Our oil prices did not go down. Our gas prices did not go down. In fact, they went up. We invaded a country for oil and our gas prices went through the roof. Because when you fuck with the supply, the people who own the stocks, they get a little bit more cautious and then the prices go up and the prices at the pump go up. So you think us invading another country for oil is going to save us money. The only thing it's going to do is put more money in the pockets of Exxon and American oil companies that are going to rape and pillage that country until they extract every fucking resource. And it's not just oil. It's gold. It's minerals. They're talking about Venezuela like it's goddamn El Dorado, and there's all of the riches in the world. We cannot wait to get our grubby little corporate hands all over that nation's extracted wealth. We are speed running into this one. It took a year and a half to convince America that it was okay for us to go to war in Iraq. You know, they welcome us as liberators. They are literally saying that right now about Venezuela. I'm hearing right-wingers on the media as we speak going, they're going to welcome us. They want us to come. They're begging us to come and invade their country and steal all their natural resources. That's what they want. Donald Trump, while he's talking about Venezuela, screaming and yelling about them, he looks over at Colombia and he goes, and listen here, buddy, you're next. Just like he did on Air Force One a couple weeks ago, he was talking to the reporter about his A+++ on the MRI that he got because he passed it with flying colors, as if that's a way that you can pass an MRI. That's just not how it works, Don. And then he bragged about how he volunteered for that cognitive test, which he thinks is an IQ test. And he was talking to the reporter and he goes, and I did a lot better than what you would have done. And you too. She's like, bitch, what did I do? I'm just standing here with a notebook in my hand. I didn't say jack or shit. Why are you pointing that nubby little fucking sausage finger at me? Well, that's what Donald Trump is like. I'm coming after you, Maduro, and you too, Colombia. Dude is a fucking psycho. Okay, so Trump kills some civil rights and abolition of slavery coins that they were trying to publish, commemorating the abolition of slavery and civil rights, and then Donald Trump got rid of them. But he wants one of his own. He wants his face on one of those coins, because of course he does. Donald Trump loves money, and he would love to have his face on some fucking money. Honey, the Republican Party loves Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan isn't even on one of these coins, but Donald Trump, a living president who wants his face on American money. He just wants to be a fucking dictator, man. He just wants to be one, for God's sakes. It's crazy, man. Epstein survivors and the Senate Democrats asked for an audit over the unreleased files because they feel that they have been tampered with. Well, I don't think it's a feeling anymore. I'm pretty sure it is a fact. They have absolutely been tampered with. Hell, man, we got that Project Veritas clip that came out over the summer where one of the people at the State Department was like, oh yeah, we've got the FBI scouring over those Epstein files, making sure that they remove Donald Trump's name from it and leaving only Democrats. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that the Epstein survivors have got a good case. Some local news here in New York. Brad Lander, he's the guy that co-endorsed Zoran Mamdani for mayor. And he also did a couple other things where he was showing up at immigration court, helping to fight for immigrants' rights, and he ended up getting arrested. So, you know, it was pretty brave stuff. That's the kind of thing that we want our Democratic politicians to be doing. Well, he is now running against Dan Goldman, who is an absolute shit Democrat, because he's the kind of guy that would vote as much with the Republicans as he would with the Democrats. And the proof of that was recently he voted to censure Rashida Tlaib, and he is an extreme Zionist. That guy has got to go. And Brad Lander, I'm wishing you a lot of luck. I hope you beat him. So I did a story over the weekend about all of the MAGA influencers and how crazy they're going. And one of the cast of characters, these lunatic right-wing podcasters out there, is Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes went on an interview with Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan, it just chopped him up. I'm not a big Piers Morgan fan, but Piers Morgan completely humiliated Nick Fuentes. I showed a clip where he was basically like, you know, are you gay? The rumors are that you're gay. And he's like, no, I'm not gay. What? Are you attracted to women? He goes, yeah, I'm attracted to women, but women are a big pain in the ass. He's like, do you think that they should have a right to vote? He's like, no, I don't think they should have a right to vote. He goes, well, you're just an old dinosaur in a 27-year-old boy's body, aren't you? He goes, yeah, pretty much. He goes, by the way, have you ever had sex? He's like, no. So you want to take away women's right to vote and women's right over their own bodily autonomy, but you've never actually been with a woman? He has said that sleeping with women is gay. A guy who is rumored to be gay himself is saying that a man having sex with a woman is gay. We're living in the upside down world. That wasn't the only thing that Piers Morgan went after him for. He had watched quite a few of Nick Fuentes' clips, and one of the clips that Nick Fuentes did, he was giving anecdotes about his father. And his father had said that we don't go to Olive Garden and we don't go to Red Lobster because those are places where black people go. Now, of course, they didn't use the word black people, they used the N-word. But Nick Fuentes had said that on his podcast, and Piers Morgan asked him, he's like, is that the reason why you're a racist bastard? Because your dad was a racist bastard and that's how you were raised? And he goes, I can't believe that you're using that anecdote. He's like, dude, it was your anecdote. So anyway, that pissed off Nick Fuentes so much that he went on and did a podcast where he got all of his followers. They're called Groypers. They're all white nationalist Christian types, and they hate everybody, including the Jews. Nick Fuentes got his Groypers to start going after and cyberbullying Piers Morgan's 2 teenage daughters because he said that it was only fair that we're able to go after your family because you went after my family. He's like, dude, I was literally quoting you, talking about an anecdote that you gave about your racist father, saying that we don't go to those kind of restaurants because that's where black people go. We're living in some fucked up times, folks. There's a measles outbreak in South Carolina. Thanks, RFK. Thanks for instilling that fear of vaccines. There's a lot of people in South Carolina who have opted to not get their children vaccinated, and now we have a big measles outbreak going on there. We have one in Texas. Now we have one in South Carolina. Man, MAGA is just a death cult, isn't it? They will do anything for Donald Trump, including throwing themselves on the pyre. Hey, it's getting a little cold in here. Why don't we throw another redneck on the fire? I gotta warm up my little pitters here. Y'all are just lining up to be a meal for the fucking rich. It's just insane. Oh, good piece of news. First time in 30 years, a Democrat wins election in Florida for mayor of Miami. First time in 30 years. And it wasn't just a close race. She beat the guy by 19 points. It was a fucking routing. And I suspect that it's got a lot to do with the fact that there are a higher concentration of Cuban Americans in Miami than pretty much anywhere else in the country. And Donald Trump and ICE have been detaining and deporting a lot of Cubans. These are people that left Cuba because they hated the Castro regime and they're Republican conservatives and they wanted to come to America to live out the American dream. And now, since they're brown, doesn't matter how much they love America, they're kicking them out. So I'm guessing that Cuban deportations is probably a big culprit for the reason why the Democrat won mayor in Miami. That's probably a pretty good bet. Oh, the little update on Epstein. I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but it was like last week, or maybe it was even the week before, some pictures came out of the Epstein Island, and some of those pictures are really weird. There's like a dentist chair in the middle of the room, and there's a bunch of like porcelain faces all over the walls. You facing this dentist chair. Who knows what they were using that dentist chair for? Who the fuck knows? But there was some new emails that were released or discovered, or more and more of them have been getting released lately. And one of these emails was an email from Les Wexner to Jeffrey Epstein. If you don't know who Les Wexner is, he owned Victoria's Secrets. He owned The Limited. I think he owned a couple other places, but Jeffrey Epstein got a lot of his money from Les Wexner. He managed Les Wexner's billions of dollars, made Les Wexner a lot of money, and thereby made himself a lot of money. That Upper East Side condo mansion that Epstein had, that was pretty much given to him by Les Wexner. Anyway, there's an email from Lex to Jeffrey after he got busted back in whatever it was, 2007, where he got that sweetheart prison deal where he only had to go to prison at night like it was a hotel, and during the day he could go to work and he was off on the weekends. There's never been anybody who has had a prison term like that. You get to leave prison anytime you want to and have your own guards. Whatever. Les wrote him an email saying, hey man, You got busted for that, and I'm real sorry about that. He wasn't sorry that he was exploiting young girls. He wasn't sorry that he was having sex with underage women. He was sorry that Jeffrey Epstein got caught, and he had sympathy for Jeffrey Epstein about that. And then he said something like, well, you did break the cardinal rule. You didn't do a good enough job covering up your crimes. God damn, man. Rich people are the worst. They're so bad. Money never made you happy. Usually it just makes you into a miserable bastard, and every last one of them is crooked as a dog's hind leg. If that motherfucker wasn't dead, we should resurrect him and then throw his ass in jail too. I'm talking about Les Wexner, not talking about Jeffrey Epstein. We should not bring that guy back to life. Oh, and I got one last story for you. So Elon Musk broke the internet again. He did an interview recently where he was complaining about Ilhan Omar not being from here. The Somali people that live in the Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul area, that there's so many foreigners there and they weren't born here and they don't know anything about America, not like we do. Elon Musk is an immigrant. He is not American. He came here illegally. He overstayed his fucking visa. But since he's white, he thinks it is all right. Ilhan Omar, she is a black woman, and all of these people are black, and they are obviously not from America. But me, we have a whites-only immigration policy here in America. The only people that we're allowed to bring in, unencumbered with no problems, are white South Africans. And they all look like fucking hogs, man. Republican hogs. They're all fat, overweight, overfed, underdeveloped, smooth brains and all. We invite them in, no problem whatsoever. But anybody from a shithole country, you gotta go. And Elon Musk is like, well, you know, they're obviously, you know, they don't love our country, and they're obviously not American, and they all need to go. And of course, Ilhan Omar is like the worst, and she's turning this country into a communist hellscape. Go fuck yourself, and go fuck your mother, and go fuck your father too. You Nazi piece of trash, man. Carry your ass back to South Africa and never darken our doorstep again. You are absolute fucking dog shit, and we need to be done with you, man. Elon, we will never forget Doge, and we will absolutely never forget the 2 Sig Heils that you gave on Inauguration Day, you and to all of your billionaire bro buddies out there, where Donald Trump had it on the inside and had all of his people sitting out in the cold. On Inauguration Day, you giving 2 Sig Heils. You didn't think one was enough. You had to give us a second one. But yeah, man, she's out there turning America into a communist hellscape. Okay, Mr. Government Subsidies. Anyway, that is how I like to end all of my shows, with a go fuck yourself, especially when it comes to Elon Musk or Donald Trump. They can both get one from me. Fuck you, and fuck you. Who's next? Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you sticking around. And yet again, please like and subscribe and comment and call me all the names you want to. I love it. I absorb it. I live off of this stuff. It's wonderful. It's what I do. Anyway, if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you next time. You take care. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.